We're going to tell how's it going. Welcome to Football Talk, Pro Football Talk with Sir Kalam. This video, I titled it Football Talk Period. This one is dedicated to the Seahawks. We're not going to say anything negative about them, but we are going to tell people today how to beat the Patriots. So they're talking on ESPN today all day long about the Patriots. They couldn't shut up about the Patriots. So we're going to tell everybody how you beat them. You beat the Patriots, obviously. You do a man defense on Tom. The players have to be they have to be all together. Say, like, the reason why I wouldn't report something like this, or I might have. Maybe I didn't know because they don't tell enough of the injury reports. Maybe sometimes I know that the Patriots are notorious for not giving the giving the news reports at time and time again. They're going to just go up and show up and play one way or another, but they're going to try and hide a lot of stuff, which, I mean, you can't really blame them for doing that. And I also said that the Deflategate thing wasn't even going to be a issue in the Super Bowl against the Seahawks, so they didn't lose the Super Bowl by any other thing than the Seahawks were not all there, and you could tell that their defense was kind of banged up, but I didn't know that Earl Thomas was going to be out. He's going to be out. They said, the last I heard, sometime after the Super Bowl, that he was going to be out for 6 months. So that's a pretty bad key component to the Seahawks Legion of Boom there. And anyhow, so now the Patriots defense. Now we know the Seahawks would have probably been able to handle these guys a lot better if Richard Sherman and all these other guys they weren't hurt during the game. If they would have been 100%. And Byron Maxwell, you seen they cut him, so I don't know if Byron Maxwell was becoming a problem, but Byron Maxwell might have been a little bit maybe too loud and a little bit of a distraction in the locker room, maybe whenever it comes to some of the other players. So all I know is that at that point, Seattle needed their defensive players to come in. It's saying there's an error there. Oh, it's a Nazi. She don't know what she's talking about. I apologize for that, but that's pretty rude. I know that it was bad whatever they did, but people are taking the Confederate flag out of context, and it is not about being racist. But I'm against it, not against the flag, but I don't want to see it anymore because they've already evil people have already labeled it enough to where now it just makes me sad when I see it, so I don't even want to see the thing anymore. But anyhow, so we're talking about the Super Bowl. So if all of the Seahawks would have been together, it would have been a different story. So Richard Sherman is a very good player. Love Richard Sherman for what he does for the Seahawks. And I always said he was kind of a trap player. He kind of comes in and tries to trap you, kind of bait people in, and he reads a lot of signals from what the quarterback is saying. So there's there's a huge amount of talent, but he's not necessarily a one-on-one guy. You had a couple of one-on-one guys the Seahawks have had, but you have to have your A game. The guy Peterson for the Arizona Cardinals, he's an awesome one-on-one guy. Deion Sanders was a killer one-on-one guy, but I'm not saying you have to be all that freaking awesome and magnetic or whatever. You have to be like the greatest. You do have to be really good though, and all I can say is they have to figure out what players are the same speed and pretty much know basically a lot about what routes Brady is going to pull. But if we look on here, I want to do another screen share here, and we're going to screen share up here to NFL.com over here. I need to set this straight so that I don't get it all too screwed up here. Okay, here we are. There's Tom Brady. He's in a lot of trouble. So we'll look at the Bills, right? Oh man, I hate it when it does that. Bills. All right. I'm messing with you. $14. So here we go. Where they at? They're in their division, so they get to play the Patriots twice a year. The Seahawks have have the AFC North, the Pittsburgh Steelers and all of them. So there's going to be a lot of hard hitting again this year. So their players have to be really drilled and ready. But see, here we are. Here's that's their last game. Where's Buffalo, New England? Looks like New England beat them there. So, am I a liar? Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'm a liar. I thought that they had beat them, that the Bills beat them twice. We'll look again and see if anybody else in their division maybe beat the Patriots twice, but nope. It is Buffalo, New England, 37-22. Looks like a ass whooping to me. And then it was just the last game they were able to beat them, but that wasn't like it was even. They would have already known Buffalo wasn't doing nothing, and New England didn't really need the game. All they were fighting for was to fight against the Broncos getting the first seed over them or something like that. So it didn't even matter. All it would have done was gave the Colts something like a third seed maybe and moved everything down like that. But all right. So I can't really see anybody except I'd have to look at New England in particular. That's one of the worst things that they've got going on the site. It keeps jumping around like that. You have to wait for it to settle, to get settled before you can make a move. Alright, here's New England. New England first game, Miami. Miami whooped them pretty good the first game. I bet Tom Brady was ticked. I always like seeing him ticked off. Because he's funny. He's funny when he's mad. Look, Kansas City smacked him down really good. Oh, poor Cincinnati. So who's going to be in and who's going to be out? These chumps are going to be probably in the playoffs again. So there's going to be a couple of teams that were in the playoffs. That were in the playoffs. And here we go. Here's all the teams. So on this side, the Colts are going to be back. So are the Colts going to take are they going to progress forward or what? I have a lot of confidence in the Ravens. It's like talking about them. When somebody brings them up in a conversation, I know not to rule them out or not to underestimate them for sure. So, who can possibly be bumped out? Because look, all three of these chumps were in here last playoffs from the same division. You know, and on the, I don't want to get into the NFC too much here too fast, but is the NFC West gonna have three in the playoffs? You had the 49ers took a big dive. I thought for some reason that they cut their quarterback. I didn't know why they would ever do that, so I couldn't compute why I would even think that, but I did. I thought that for a little while. Then you have the Panthers. They were 450 team. They were under 500 in the playoffs this last playoffs. So who is so you know we got Jimmy Graham from the Saints. So I don't know what the Saints are gonna do. Like I said, I needed to pay attention to what they picked in their draft because they got they got a first round pick from the Seahawks in the Jimmy Graham trade. So I need to at some point take a look at what they did. I don't know if I'm going to get closer to the season or during the season when I do that, or if I'm going to wait for announcers to tell me. But I don't expect the Cowboys to be in there. I expect the Eagles to take the Cowboys' place there. You know, and I don't think that's going to be too shocking to too many other people. I think that they should have tried their best to work out a deal with their running back. Seattle, if they haven't worked out a deal with Wilson, I heard that if they don't work out a deal and he comes back, he'll only be making about $1 million for that season. So he's earned, I think, the right to work out some kind of deal. He's their long-term quarterback, so as their franchise guy, I would definitely, mobilize around him, and give that long-term focus on Wilson. But if they're not going to come up with a restructured now, and they want to give him a deal later, they should ought to give him some kind of guarantee in case he gets hurt or something like that and can't ever come back, because that's what you'd be worried about if something happens. So give him like $5 million if Russell Wilson, comes back and he doesn't last the whole season, so that he can finally break out of his rookie contract. So I would have him work out a deal, talk right now with the team about what they're going to be giving him in the future. Because we all know Russell Wilson's earned his status, the running back. He's my favorite player. Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch got paid, so I think that they're going to probably work something out with with Wilson. I don't know what other people think that the team's going to have to do. It was a good move by letting that one first round pick go for Jimmy Graham because Seattle's got such a solid team that they don't necessarily need the extra players so that they would have to cut one more player realistically down the road towards the time whenever that time expires and you have to have your 53-man roster. So, and I'm just so excited for the club, for Seattle, having Jimmy with them on their roster. It's just like saying this stuff gets better every year. It really does. Our hearts sunk in that Super Bowl, but this was really a good way for them to make up for that loss big time because I'm hopeful for another team to establish a perfect season. And I think Seattle is about the closest team that's dominant enough to do that. And they're still young. They're super young. They were talking on ESPN about Brady having this system that they built since Belichick's been there 16 years in the making, how great he looked and was and whatnot. But I'm telling you, man defense on Tom Brady because he's not a mobile quarterback. He's not going to run out of the pocket. He's not going to do some magnificent stuff to run around and pull off some things with the Chevrolet legs like we've seen Russell Wilson do. Russell Wilson is another Steve Smith. He's Steve Smith in the making all over again, refreshed, because Russell Wilson can run out and also to either side, but he can throw while he's mobile, while he's on his feet, throw off of his feet, and he throws very accurate like that. So all I can say is Russell Wilson is really that dynamic, and you're looking down the long stretch because you're looking like that Super Bowl loss will only help them out because that was a rookie move. He was supposed to have thrown that to the guy's legs, to his feet, and hit the ground. It wasn't even supposed to, the ball was supposed to be thrown dead, is what he was supposed to do. And they were supposed to give the ball to Marshawn Lynch. That was the plan. So there was just a misconnection between the quarterback and the coach right there, rookie move. He needs to be able to make more sound plays. I'm talking about Russell Wilson. He's about the most dynamic quarterback you have in the game right now, that aspect I said, with his feet. But you're talking about still making rookie mistakes. So, they're trying to put too much too fast, and that's what killed it. But on the long stretch, that was one of the, I don't know how many Super Bowls Russell Wilson is going to have. But who do you think is the closest to getting another perfect season? And we all seen the one that the Patriots had a few years ago, and the New York Giants came back around, and that game was. I'll tell you one thing that you can't take away from the Patriots and the Giants both is that game was such an exciting game. I know it must have took the breath out of everybody who was rooting for the Patriots, but still, you couldn't ask for a better game, and that's what football is all about. So, anyhow, So now we were talking about other things. I think the Cowboys are out and the Eagles are going to be in there. Back over here, the Broncos. I thought the Broncos were going to replace the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Every year I pick them and I get them right. I got them right. I'd say like three out of like 5 out of the last 6 years or something like that. Did pretty good so far, but anyhow, I'm not too sure how much more I want to elaborate on. We're looking at the Jaguars. They got an assistant head coach over there. Doug Marrone, assistant coach, head coach. Head coach is still Gus Bradley. Oh, and look at that guy. Tight ends coach. Veteran as a player. In his second season with the Jaguars after being named tight end assistant special coach. That dude as special teams coordinator. Huh. That's cool. But yeah, they look like they're doing some good stuff over there. So anyways, the Patriots defense is about the same. They played man defense, so I don't know how else to describe that. If they don't know your play call, I mean, basically what you're going to do, they're not going to beat you. In any of those games, I know that I lost a point on there with Buffalo, but if there's any point to it all, any of the teams that that had been successful against them, it was because they didn't know, not exactly like they know exactly what they're gonna do, but they study them like they're supposed to. The Patriots go week to week and they do their homework, so they're pretty wise to what Seattle was doing. You know, Seattle's an awesome team. They had a phenomenal play calls. I knew I knew what they were whenever the plays were going on, but I can't think of the play in particular. I'm thinking about one in particular, but they have some pretty killer coordination and chemistry too on the Seahawks offense. So they brought Jimmy Graham in there, and they let Golden Tate go. So then they let Byron Maxwell go last season. So now the Seahawks are going to bring in. They brought in a couple. They brought in a couple of veterans, and they brought in, I believe, a guy back from the Jaguars that the Jaguars had that they drafted in Seattle to play cornerback this year. So 6 months until Earl Thomas gets back out on the field. So I don't know if that was a report back then. Let's look him up. Earl Thomas. Any news? ESPN. They were just a little bit too gloatful for the Patriots, so they're not freaking Superman, you know. Any given Sunday, it's called Any Given Sunday for a reason. And that was one thing I told these guys last year before the season started. I'll show you right here. I said, I told them to key steady your opponents. Oh, good grief. This thing is such a. To Seahawks spotlight. Man, let's do it. I don't know. So it is. But anyways, I told them that you must study your opponent, and they wanted to go in there and beat these guys up. And this is the Seahawks spotlight in WordPress. That's what I did. I wrote on here for a long time, a bunch of articles, week to week. If you wanna look up there, look at the dates and times. If you're looking for something particular, like a game or something that I said, you can look at the dates on here and coordinate them from on the schedule for the Seahawks. Because pretty sure I had mentioned something, or maybe have some talked about that. Like I said, I report about them all year during the season. And one of the things I was talking about these guys was to prepare for your opponents more on their scheme. You have to understand their scheme, and I don't know, this thing is not going to tell me. How about we go maybe these guys will say, we'll just go right in here. On the field. Okay, Russell Wilson, Legion of Boom, headline. All NFC West. Marshawn Lynch and Alden Smith clash in the heated Seahawks 49ers rivalry, but they joined forces on the 6 divisional all-star team. Looking at this dude right here. Thomas, 97 tackles. So, what was it? Doesn't want to be one-hit wonder, Chris Matthews. Legion of Boom member. And remember too, it's Legion of Boom. That's what we were talking about. Is pleased with the new faces because they're veterans and they're going to be a lot more wiser. And they're not going to give more penalties. They're not going to be more costly in that sense where they're going to give up some games, like to the Rams or something stupid like that, because Byron Maxwell wants to be a smart aleck. You know, you can't have that sometimes. And I do believe that it breaks down to the locker room. It goes down to the locker room. So if something did happen, do you think that the Seahawks could ride on Tavares Jackson? Think Tavares Jackson's the answer? Do you think they'd have to run for a run, try and scramble to get another quarterback if something ever happened to Wilson? The learning curve. Yeah, Graham and Wilson, that'd be phenomenal together. Yeah, because this dude is going to be able to get more blocks upfield, and they're going to, somebody pointed out that he's going to help stop the double coverage going on. But, Russell Wilson passed to himself. And just passed the ball down the field to himself. Is that awesome, huh? No injuries reported. They're saying. So I'm gonna just put it in here. Seahawks Earl Thomas to undergo surgery. Thomas suffered when it was February 24th. So quite a while ago. Let's go ahead and look in here. I want to pay attention to if this says anything about his injury. I want to see what time this report. Shoulder, thigh, illness. Here he's got, oh yeah, he's got a bad shoulder. Fox is talking about him, huh? I don't. Let's see. It was 4 months ago, so when will Thomas injuries? Oh yeah, I guess that other one would have told you, huh? Sherman Earl Thomas injuries in the NFC Championship victory. Wow. So there's no news there. So if they said 6 months, then he should be ready for September then, right? So they need, basically the bottom line is is the Seahawks need to be a lot more careful than they've been. They have been a little bit selfish, I believe, with this Legion of Boom thing. They're coming off like Pittsburgh, and they had to play Pittsburgh, or they're gonna have to play Pittsburgh and the Ravens and all the hard-hitting people from the AFC North this season. So, you know, they need to play a lot smart. You know, more smart. With being engaged with all this talent that's all around. So I know that they went down to San Diego, and it just blew me away when they lost to San Diego last year. How San Diego just kept swarming on them and swarming on them, and they didn't look the same. They didn't look like they planned for any kind of San Diego scheme approach, and that's all San Diego's offense. So then you're talking about games. A lot of games they should be nail biters anyways, but I'm gonna have to retract the way that I commented and said before that I wanted Seattle to play closer games, where they came out of that Super Bowl where they beat the Broncos severely bad. Now I'm just thinking, how are you guys gonna, you know, get back to whooping people like that? Because I know that they were one of the last teams in the NFL to throw up 50 burgers on people, and we haven't seen 50 burgers since some awesome college games, and that's Russell Wilson. I'm from Oregon, so my team, Oregon, does the speed option a lot, and I see a lot of different things going on that the Seahawks look like, you know, they would do in college, just flat out go out and whoop somebody's tail, you know, and sometimes that's what football is all about too. So we're not going to let Seattle or the Patriots or anybody get out of this and just act like they're, you know, their poop doesn't stink. But should we look at that before we go here? We're gonna look at I'm not really interested in any of the NFL's news. I don't know if anybody wants me to talk about the NFL, anything other than the Seahawks and the Patriots. Some things are going on. I don't really want to talk about them, but I will say that Jacksonville retired today, the mascot for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and it's going to be kind of sad to see him go, but I can understand. They said 19 years in that suit, and it's really hot down here. Holy moly. So, brave guy. He's very tough, man. Talk about people that didn't make it in the NFL that probably could have been pretty good athlete, doing something. That guy right there, obviously, if he can keep that costume on and do all the theatrics that he does at games, the guy's awesome. I got to see him do some crazy stuff. I have some video of him coming down off of the rafters and doing some crazy stuff. The guy's crazy. He was awesome. Awesome mascot. But anyhow, I just wanted to kind of upload a video. I didn't want to take too much of everybody's time, but let's go look at Seattle Seahawks schedule. We'll look at their schedule, and then we'll see. We'll stop there, but then we'll see who they're playing, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So now I can see why my little baloney pep talk, or hey, do this or that, say baloney, because I'm not a head coach or anything, or even a small coach for that matter. So I'm just I guess my opinion is probably pretty good sometimes, though. Watching that many games and paying that much of attention, and also being able, like, if I couldn't view a game for some reason for the Seahawks, still be able to be that in tune with them during the season to really know, like, be in a good conversation with somebody talking about the game, even if I hadn't seen it. So follow them pretty close. Um, Live in Jacksonville, Florida. Um, so I what do you say? I would be happy to see the Jaguars be successful. Let's just put it that way. I'd like to see them be successful too. But I'm more inspired to be a fan of Seattle than anybody. I think that Pete Carroll is such a great coach. You know, you want to talk about owners spending a little bit of money or doing this and that and making some good calls. The GM there is really phenomenal too. So, um, very awesome thing they put together there. I like how they've got it built out of draft basically. So, players that they brought in there from everywhere, you know. And if you're not clicking, it's not necessarily, it is necessarily that, but like I said, if you got some kind of problem or beef, you're probably going to be gone if they can smell it. You know, you have to be kind of in their formula right off the bat in order to even survive on the Seahawks. So no wonder so many people want to go there. But anyhow, so we've got Green Bay, so they're going back to Green Bay. Now, we know Green Bay plays an West Coast offense type of scheme. It's in the run and shoot type of scheme of things. Um, and their defense, I don't know. I'd still go out there, and I would, if you want to. If there's any team or game that you want to go out there and pulverize the other guy, if Seattle wants to go and pulverize the team, it wasn't San Diego. San Diego was the type of team that you wanted to go in there and outwit them and be able to pulverize them from outsmarting them. You want to still outsmart Green Bay when you go and play them, but you really want to for that what Matthews did to Russell Wilson. I just think that you need to go in there and be ready to clock these guys when you go and play them. And I'm talking offense. The Seattle Seahawks offense has to go in and take charge and smack Green Bay around. It's going to be at Green Bay too. You know, they have to control the game, I believe, in that sense. When you're talking about, you know, how they want to have that Legion of Boom approach, it would be against the Green Bay Packers. They've talked enough trash. Aaron Rodgers said after that playoff game that the better team lost, you know, didn't win the game. Well, I'm sorry, but I think Seattle is a better team. Anyways, I like Luke Wilson. Besides that, and all of their receivers that they have are really awesome. And then to have Jimmy Graham to come in there, this season's going to be, I don't even know what they're selling the tickets for, but wow, if there was, if there was a game that I would want to go to, be a part of, and or be a writer and write and whatever, and I would be definitely for my Seattle Seahawks. They are really got me that thrilled. Um, and it would hard to not be completely consumed by what's going on with this Jimmy Graham thing. And whenever they finally click and they come out and start playing, it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be so phenomenal. And I'm not gonna say I can't wait because I always say I try to be patient with my football, where some people are like they want football to hurry up and get here for whatever reason. Well, there's a lot of talk and discussion and things that we really need to clear up and get out of the way before football time gets here, and it'll get here and it won't last. It'll be gone that quick. It'll be here and gone, and I like to enjoy it like wine. So, like a fine Chardonnay or something real exquisite or something fine quality, to me in my perspective of the game. So, and I'm just talking about the Seahawks down through the whole entire NFL, the league as a whole. I just don't want it to hurry up and get here in that sense, and I made myself become patient in that sense so that it doesn't hurry up and get over with. But anyways, so the first game, it's a division game at St. Louis. So, what's the scheme going to be for going to St. Louis and beating the Rams? They've been bringing a real hard charging game. You're gonna have to pay a lot of attention to Nick Foles. The team has already surrounded Nick Foles pretty good, and I think that they are going to have good chemistry working with him. So you're going to have another thing like this where if you have Richard Sherman injured and all these other injuries, and you don't have these backups in line and ready to play these games, they're going to definitely let these games run away with them having Nick Foles there now. So think of what happened to Nick Foles before he got injured. It's definitely the team needs to study that guy, and it's a good game, I guess, to start the first season. But I'm definitely looking at that one that if they're not careful, they're going to lose that game if they're not on. If the Seahawks don't bring their A game to that. Probably a little bit different of a scheme before, but Jeff Fisher. I've been saying ever since the guy got there, don't underestimate him, and being able to report some things, it makes me happy that Pete Carroll hasn't taken Jeff Fisher for granted. He knows he's there, so in that sense, Seattle's been able to be pretty smart whenever it comes to the Rams. But the Rams they got Chris Long there, and he's just a beastly team. The Rams are. So it just also goes to show, the Green Bay Packers Aaron Rodgers want to talk smack about the Seahawks not being a better team than Green Bay. Give it up. They beat the Rams a lot of the time, 2 games out of the year, and there is really no excuse or other reason except that Pete Carroll brings that much of the team and the players favor him that much. So I don't even know what Chicago's gonna do. All I can say is they can beat these guys. I'm pretty sure, pretty hands down. Chicago Bears. If Seattle brings their A game, they hit them a little bit hard and they compute what Chicago is going to be doing on the field. Then now Detroit. What has Detroit done lately? You know that they've got Golden Tate, so Golden Tate there he can he's gonna try to tell them some schemes what the Seahawks are doing, even though he's 2 years out of the franchise. Cincinnati, now that's they would do that. They would put I would guess Cincinnati's the weaker of all of them. Maybe Pittsburgh could be, but they're all hard hitting teams, are supposed to be in that division because they play hard nosed football. So they start with the first one there. Then you're going to have your Carolina comes to Seattle. You're going to have another one of our Carolina Seattle games. What did Carolina do? Carolina do anything in particular? All I know is they got Todman, the running back Todman from the Jaguars, and they let their main running back go. And I was saying I did a report on the Jaguars. I hope that they do good, like I said, but I think that they screwed up because the Jaguars are playing their fullback that they got from the Vikings at running back instead of making him go in and play Greg Jones' old position that he used to bump everybody off for Jones Drew to get Jones Drew going. They needed that guy that they got from the Vikings here he should have blocked for Todman, should have been the guy who they brought in for and replaced MJD with, but they didn't. So I don't know what direction they're going to go with that, but the more they keep playing like that and bringing that particular stuff on the field, especially after they went and got the tight end from that awesome tight end that the Broncos had from the Broncos, they're going to lose me. I live here in Jacksonville, so I'm not going to go to any of their games, and I'm not going to watch any of them on TV or anything like that if I even smell that they're still goofing up like that. Because they've been doing that same stuff for years. They didn't want to. They just patched the team up. They didn't build a franchise. But here we're talking about the Seahawks, a built franchise. So San Francisco, how is that going to go? I don't know. Even San Francisco looked terrible last year. And I believe now Dallas is the next game after that. And I believe Dallas is going to look terrible this year. When Dallas plays, they're going to be 500 or 750 or something like that at the end of the year. That's my guess, is that Dallas is going to do terrible, and that the Eagles will take their place in the playoffs. So, and I'm looking for Seattle to win a good game confidently against Dallas, and they're at Dallas, so you always have Tony Romo coming up with some crazy stuff, and they'll probably have Des Bryant's contract figured out by then, but there's a holdup there with him. That's also a concern, not just the running back issue. Now, I believe that they kind of messed DeMarco Murray over, in my opinion. He carried that team a lot with Des Bryant and Romo too, I would guess. Also would have to be credited, some of it anyways, no matter how much we dislike him. But then they have him do that. Who really cares? The Cowboys are not our team, and we could really give a crap about him in that sense. Jerry Jones is he I don't know, he goes too far. He definitely goes too far. So Seattle's lucky to have who they have in their ownership. Arizona, now the quarterback's going to be back. Is he going to be on fire again? Yeah, and there's no telling what San Francisco is going to look like. So then there you got some of those division games coming around again. And remember, Seattle has to start playing smart here. They have to be Legion of Smart. The Legion of Smart. So, Legion of Smartness, and then comes the boom, right? You have to come to that point in time, Seattle, when you make that realization. So, you've got Arizona in your division, and they look crazy good. They looked really good. They looked really sharp. We knew that they were going to bite as soon as Carson Palmer went down. So if Carson Palmer don't go down, what's your excuse going to be now? Well, we have Jimmy Graham. We have Jimmy Graham to answer a lot of problems that we'll have solved. So then I said there's Pittsburgh. Then they're going to have, after Pittsburgh, Smash Mouth, they're going to have Minnesota. Adrian Peterson's going to be back, and they'll be you say they'll have it shook off. Adrian Peterson and the Vikings will have this issue between them shooken off by then, and they'll be breathing normal by this game for sure. I believe that they'll be probably back to with it. Him and the team, real soon. They'll be over their squabble completely, and then Seattle has Baltimore, like I said, and then Cleveland, then St. Louis again, and then Arizona at Arizona. So there you have it. There's our Seahawks schedule. There's how you beat Tom Brady and the Patriots. You have to have more than just a scheme. Your players have to be able to pull off a one-on-one, because you're not going to necessarily be able to get her done against Tom Brady and the Patriots in a zone coverage. And I see I got a viewer on here. I'm sorry I didn't look and see if you wanted to say anything. Add to this video. I do record it, so it's going to be a saved recording. Other than that, basically getting off of here. I'll show you this screen share, the person that's watching right now. Here it is, Pro Football Talk right here. There's the link to the video, and if you look at how you get to my channel on here, and it'll say I'm live. Yeah, I'm live. I'm just doing that for a second so I can go to my channel. But here's the channel right here, and that's a live thing, and I'm going to end this broadcast right now. Appreciate the views and anybody else that watches it. Thank you.